presenter is Alister, and he will be doing Crossing Boundaries in Research, Career Reflections from an Interdisciplinary Bastard. Okay. Right, we're going to stick strictly to time so that we don't sort of run over, so we'll do 10 minutes starting from now, and what I'll do is I'll give you a 2-minute warning, as it were, at the end, and we'll sort of stop it dead at 10 minutes, so away you go.
Well, thank you, and thank you for the invitation. When I give talks to the outside world, when I give talks in BCU, most people will see me as a planner. The enemy of enterprise, as the government call it. When I give talks to the outside world, I actually label myself an interdisciplinary bastard. And as a geographer, I tend to borrow from other disciplines as it suits me, rather than be fixed on a particular disciplinary line. And I think this talk I'm going to give this morning is a reaction to the silos that we can quite often put ourselves in, which restrict opportunities in both research and teaching. And it also is a reflection from recent research projects that I've actually led. So there are big issues we now face. We have climate change, or climate disintegration as some people have called it. We have flooding and extreme weather events. We have pollution impacts on a global scale in fragile environments. We have a need to meet an ever-increasing housing need. We have a need for infrastructure, new infrastructure. Where should it go? We have a need for improved energy, new energy sources. Again, where should they go? We need to have green space, green lungs, where we can enjoy, as in the Lickey Hills here outside Birmingham. Oops, going the wrong way now. But people perceive the environment in different ways, and those different images can lead to conflict, and people can then have contested values about the kind of development that we actually need. We're also faced by massive uncertainty about what tomorrow will bring. So how do we deal with that whole cacophony of different issues? This is not the best way to deal with it. Tying ourselves up, constrained in our silos, tied to our remits and focus. Unfortunately, that is the way that many of our agency responses actually evolve. And this is captured by work by Günter Bärbel-Tress and Gary Fry, where they talk about the kind of disciplinary silo approach that we quite often take to some of these big problems. We can progress up this ladder to multidisciplinary, where different disciplines attack this, but within their own particular disciplinary view, with then some hope that right at the top, where the white circles are, that somehow integration will occur. More rarely is this kind of approach, where people take an issue and come to the table with their particular piece, where they can contribute in part to an overall problem. And that is the breeding ground where sort of interdisciplinarity can occur. And Trez et al. have conceptualised this within this set of diagrams. And I think here the idea is that the different disciplines come together and actually shape the white circle there at the top, illustrates a conceptual approach, new knowledge that starts at the beginning of the research process. But the disciplines have come together to create a strategy for the way forward. Better still, if that strategy can actually involve non-academics, where you bring in policy and practice people to the picture. And that has been called transdisciplinary. So this is a research project that I led in from 2010, and some of the people there will be brought again. This is under the Rural Economy and Land Use Programme, which is Research Council's UK funded exercise, and it champions interdisciplinary work. So basically this gives funding to projects that try to address this. And I'm not going to take you through the big issues of this research, but to kind of take you through what we actually did in an interdisciplinary frame. And the best metaphor I can use is the Starship Enterprise. I'm a spatial planner, so you'll see why I've used that. as one metaphor, but it's also the way that the project went. To boldly go, it was a bit more than splitting infinitives. It was actually challenging the way research is done. So the first thing that we tried to do was to cross traditional divides that exist. So here are the people in that research project. First thing is we've siloed them, but they weren't silos. That group of people at different scales, disciplines, professions, all came together as one team. So basically the idea was that everybody in that team was a co-investigator, and those organisations were paid for their time, which challenges traditional views of stakeholders being involved in bits of the research as it proceeds. We also wanted to, if you like, create new glasses. I've called them lenses here. And we wanted to say, right, we've all got our own lenses and baggage. How can we create a new set of lenses that we are going to explore the rural-urban fringe with? So people came from built environment backgrounds, natural environment backgrounds. They presented thought pieces, which I then synthesised into a document that enabled us to try and build, if you like, the pair of glasses to look at the rural-urban fringe. And no, we didn't go to Specsavers. Those glasses then simplified complex paradigms in spatial planning on the one hand and the ecosystem approach on the other. Time limits the extent to which I can go into those. But we didn't want to do that. We wanted to bring together concepts that publics, professionals understood. And that was our time, connections and values framework from the synthesis that we produced. And they became, if you like, the pairs of glasses that we used to study the fringe. And in that process, we carried out new data. We sought out new data from visioning in 2 rural fringes, one from Redditch to Birmingham, and the other one in Hampton in Peterborough. So that's the slides on the left. On the right, we had 2 workshops. One in 2011 at the top there illustrates the local enterprise partnership meeting in 2010 on green economies, looking at how you can maximise the green economy. And the second one was based on learning lessons from failed regional planning as the abolition of the regional development agencies took place. The idea was that these workshops were built on the networks of our research team members, so they developed them. So what did this project deliver in terms of this bringing together? And this is where the interdisciplinary bite, I think, occurs and the value. Unconventional outputs. This was a game that we produced purely accidentally, which got people to engage with our research through playing a game, and the game enabled people to answer questions that were based on the data we collected. So we were able to get people playing games that engage with our data and actually creating visions. And that's been used in schools, it's been used in government, and it's been used as a model exemplar in both the research councils as well. Here is the local enterprise partnership for Birmingham and Worcester playing this game as a prelude to the spatial plan exercise that took place in 2012. This is your classic output, but no. Progress in planning, but with all the actual authors, including the non-academics, as part of the paper because they contributed to it. These are the video policy briefs, which are about people going outside their comfort zone, producing not what has already been produced before, not the bleeding obvious as one team member suggested, but actually trying to communicate our information to audiences in an interesting way. This is taking our outputs to Nebraska and to Sweden, where new versions of our game have been developed in consultation with policy and practice communities. Taking it further into new research avenues under the National Ecosystem Assessment Follow-on project, where the same team, because they enjoyed the experience, is still working. So what are the lessons learned? Working with policy, practice and academia within one research team is demanding, time-consuming, challenging, but it's incredibly rewarding. And it's important that you work with people who champion going out of your comfort zones, freeing yourselves from those chairs. You don't want people who are tied to the chair in your research team. The other thing is that the research method needs to be flexible, and one of the processes that we used was making it up as we went along, i.e. changing in response to changing circumstances of the team, allowing roughopoly to be developed, allowing the policy briefs to be developed, going out of your comfort zone. So I think we do need, as the Vice-Chancellor stated this morning, more interdisciplinary approaches. But equally, we need the leaders to make sure that they happen. And we also need to have the structures that can facilitate that. So to finish with, I'm standing here in BCU and I'm seeing lots of silo structures. I am not seeing structures that enable us to work across to achieve the kind of interdisciplinary work that we now need. Thank you very much.